Peace. The majority of men that most
I'm sick of these panderers. Men are the most unalive people in the world, and you got all these women crying. Stop all this crying.
Peace. You know, in these recent conversations about men's accountability or the lack thereof, the most blatant displays of pandering that I've seen happened in my own comments. Yes, all of these every man for himself type of dudes, the ones who say that a man's job is only to protect that which is his own, that the risk is not worth the reward of looking out for anyone else. Those men refuse to say a single word to protect their own. And when I say a single word, I mean that quite literally. They couldn't say in response to a simple question that they turned into a gotcha. They couldn't just say yes. When I ask these unaccountable men, if I am in the presence of someone you love, be they a woman or a girl, who's being harassed or worse by another man in your absence, do you want me to intervene on their behalf? These men refuse to say yes. I mean, the answer is obviously yes, but they refuse to say it because they know that if they say yes, I would want another man to intervene in my absence on behalf of and in defense of my loved one. They would then have to concede to the importance of accountability as a collective concept among men. Oh, but when you're stuck in the rut of disagreeing for the sake of being disagreeable, even saying that one word to protect your own is a bridge too far. I was in a self-checkout at a grocery store, ringing up my items, when this other guy pulled up behind me with his friend and a cart full of stuff. That's when the lady who was working the section told him that he had too many items in his cart. The max was 15 items. The guy immediately became irate, telling her that it's no big deal, just let him go ahead and ring the stuff up. And she said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And that's when he goes from being irate to being aggressive, stepping in her personal space. And that's when I stepped up and said to her, with him standing here, you all right? And she pauses for a second and says, I'm good, with a smile. And I said, all right. At which point he thought better of his behavior, went and got a second cart to split his first cart like he could have in the first place. All's well, ends well. You wouldn't want me to do that for your mom, your sister, your wife, your daughter. You wouldn't want someone to step up. You wouldn't want me to do that. You wouldn't want her to feel protected in general, to feel like she lives in a world where even if bad things happen, somebody who sees something might say something, or even more, do something to protect her in your absence. Y'all don't want that. Y'all would rather placate to and uphold an immoral position, despite deep down inside believing otherwise. That, my friend, is the very definition of pandering. Can you imagine her coming home to you and telling you about how she was harassed and accosted at work and none of the men around her did a thing, and you saying to her, what? They did the right thing. They weren't supposed to help you. Suck it up. That's what you're gonna say. If you scared, say you scared, because it's becoming clear that the reason many of you uphold these standards, or lack thereof, of unaccountability, starting within your own inner circle, not just being the Lone Ranger or some vigilante abroad, just checking dudes randomly here and there, but starting in your own circle. But you know why you don't? Because too many of you made friends with your bullies for protection. It's the old can't beat 'em, join 'em. Sure, there's always the birds of a feather flock together, but y'all scared of your man. And that's why some of y'all men could talk reckless to you and you don't say Nathan. That's why some of your mans can play some of the most disrespectful pranks on you, can horseplay around with you in ways that you don't like. Now you can claim you ain't scared, but it is what it is. You ain't gonna throw hands with him, you ain't gonna stop him. And even when it ain't your man that you're afraid of, the truth is you too are afraid of men.
If I go to the wrong neighborhood, you think they ain't gonna be pressing me?
You're afraid of men doing something to you, and you're afraid of men doing something for them, those who you were charged with protecting, displaying characteristics to them of courage that you lack, because you're a coward and a panderer. That older lady I told you about in the self-checkout was a Latina, and the two men were Asian. I had no skin in the game, proverbially speaking, but I did it because it was the right thing to do. And I would hope that if it was my mama, in my absence, you would do the same thing too, but we know you won't. And to be clear, coverage don't always call for these, and certainly not these, especially not in your own inner circle where there's love and respect to and fro with the men and boys that you're holding accountable. Most of what we're talking about with accountability is preemptive, not reactive. But even in response to things that have already happened, there's a lesson that can be extrapolated and paid forward for future reference if we just lean into accountability. And when I say we, yes, I mean me too. All of us. We know that there are bands and FNs in the world. We coined the phrase to describe that type of dude. So don't gaslight women when they start calling out band behavior or FN foolishness. As if the same man that they call an unfaithful, we don't call disloyal. The same man that they call a dog, we don't call a rat. If bands or FNs are getting called out, why are you answering the call if you ain't a band or an FN? Just like me calling out cowards right now. If you up in your feelings in the comments below, I already know what it is. Because it's obvious that those of you who are talking the most are doing the least. Say you scared. We'll take it from there. We out here.